Growing up, video games had always been an important part of my life. Some of the earliest memories I have are playing Pokemon Yellow on my Game Boy Color. And it didn't stop there. My brothers and I played games like Splinter Cell, 007 Nightfire, the Monster Hunter Freedom series, together all the time. But one game from my childhood stood out more than the rest. Final Fantasy X. This game really made me love Final Fantasy as a whole. I played Final Fantasy X so much, and I remember going back and looking at forums and seeing all of the stuff on the international versions of the games, which had different bosses, and then trying to get to them in the US game, and obviously they didn't exist. After playing it a bunch, though, it made me wonder what other Final Fantasy games were like. What was normal growing up is we would have family trips. We'd go into town and make a stop at the grocery stores, and then the boys would get to go to the local GameStop and look around. And I remember one trip we went in there, and in the case that they had with all of the Game Boy games at the time, obviously, there was Final Fantasy 1 and 2 as a bundle, 4 and 5. And all the games were super cheap. They were like $1 or $2. So for $6, my parents thought it was well worth the investment to have us be quiet on the car rides when we go out and about. Now, I remember beating these games as a kid and enjoying every minute of it and playing through a bunch of these games. And now that I'm approaching 30, I was curious on if they'd still bring me as much joy as I remember. And so one day I got the idea of playing through all the Final Fantasy games, at least the main ones. So starting from 1, going up till 16, obviously making some adjustments with the MMOs, and just seeing how good they've held up and how good they actually are. Now, for it to ruin a whole franchise, you must assume I've made it pretty far. And I didn't. Final Fantasy 1, I think, was a great introduction to the series. Very straightforward. Classes, what the roles of the characters are, and just having an overall good story. However, when I got to Final Fantasy 2, it didn't go as smooth as Final Fantasy 1 did. The game itself had a ton of changes from the first one, and I think it bit off a little bit more than it can chew. So, first, let's go over the stories. And just to warn you, there are going to be spoilers for the game here. I don't know how necessary that is, seeing the game is about 40 years old, but we're going to go over it real quick. So, the Emperor of some kingdoms started using monsters to start a world domination campaign. This made another kingdom form an army to rebel against them. They were immediately discovered and lose their kingdom. Enter our 4 heroes, who also get crushed immediately, but fortunately, the rebel army finds them and saves us. Well, most of us anyway. So then we're tasked with going back to the town next to the castle, to go to a bar, to find a hidden wall, to find one of the rebel army's brothers, and then he dies. So back to the castle, we let them know he's dead, we learn that we need Mithril to defeat the Empire, and we finally get a party of 4. Mind you, we haven't even fought a boss yet, and we're already getting Mithril. So into the caves, we fight a ton, find some slaves, a guy we know, somebody's daughter, and we get the Mithril. During this, we learn of a death ship from our spy, but we don't make it in time. Now we see the damage that it's done, let the princess know we lose our 4th member, and now we need to destroy the airship. Fortunately for us, everyone's favorite airship enjoyer, Sid, has the answer. We run some errands, get a new 4th party member. Again, not sure why, but they parked the airship in a field easily accessible. We got a ticket to go aboard. Not really sure why they have tickets to get on the death machine. Who knows? In between the bombing runs and us prepping to blow everything up, the princess and Sid managed to get captured and we're just on board this airship conveniently. Free them. After that, we complete our terrorism run and escape.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Now, our 4th party member abandons us again, but then we get to meet a friendly pirate who offers us a ride for where we need to go. Then they proceed to try and rob us. Quick fight, and now they're friendly and join us. Now, the next part of the game starts to feel a little weird, so we're going to go through it pretty quick. So, we meet a dragon, the dragon dies, the pirate captain now is in charge of the rebel army and leaves us, we get our old fourth party member back, the princess gets captured again, and now we lose our old fourth again after saving the princess. After that, we meet a dragoon at some point, he joins us, we kill the last boss, and celebration. Until they tell us, never mind, the Dark Knight is coming to slaughter all of us. So logically, we go try and do peace negotiations. Did I mention that this is Maria's brother and our original fourth? Last boss respawns, Dragoon Man sacrifices himself, and now our initial fourth party member joins our team again. And finally, you go beat the last boss, and that's the game. So why did this almost ruin the franchise for me? I was super excited to go through and play these games again. There's something about the story, classes, characters, and just the nostalgia factor that really hits home for me. But this game is nothing like I remember. The story just feels like a bunch of fetch quests. This changes to how the spells leveling work. Doesn't really feel very Final Fantasy to me. And it's scaling with levels and using MP going up instead of just having a nice progression with it. Zero guidance on what each character's role is, and it feels like there really wasn't much direction to the game overall, and it was just kind of piggybacking off the success of the first game. And don't even get me started on the time-wasting rooms. Like, why were there so many blank rooms that spit you out just into the middle of the room and walk back? With the encounter rates being as high as they were, every single time you'd get a section of doors, it just felt punishing. Like, you're walking in and you're going to be in the middle of a room and guaranteed at least one battle on the way out. This game took me about 12 hours of playtime to beat, and that was using 4x boost to increase leveling speed. And I imagine without that, it probably would have been another 6 to 7 hours of grinding without it. Can't really say I'd recommend playing this. Hopefully Final Fantasy III is better. And just as a reminder, we are going to be streaming these games when I go through and play them on YouTube and Twitch. So if you're interested in watching or hanging out or have some insight or disagree with what I think about this game overall, make sure you leave it down below or join in and chat with us live when we do it.